music. There we go. Well, good morning, everyone. Today is June the 11th. I had not yet changed the clock right above me there. There it is. June 11th. Today is June 11th. Welcome to the Saturday service. I'm glad you are here. I still have some friends who are coming in by Zoom. Let me switch over to that camera so all the people who are here by Zoom can say hi. Hi, people who are here by Zoom. Hi, Karen and Rosalind and Janice and Eileen and Chad and Lisa and Ron and Ron's new puppy.
Yeah.
Where?
Let's see, puppy.
There's Ron and puppy, and glad to see you, Carol and Ann and everyone.
Oh,
Jess.
that's good.
Good morning. I'm going to switch off of this screen. But everyone who's here, if you are able to keep your microphone unmuted so that we can hear you when you have something to say. If you have a grandfather clock or a dog that's being super loud, to please mute yourselves. As you know, our friend Alex, who usually does all the tech, is not here today. Alex had the opportunity to go do something fun. She said, go do it.
President.
Yeah.
Puppy.
So thank you guys for all being here. I want to start with just taking a moment and reflecting on, again, whose land we might be on, and to think back about that. And I am on the land that was part of the Cowlitz people's land. And for you to think, and if you haven't ever done it before, if you can go to native-land.ca, native.land/land.ca, and you can find out whose land you are currently on. And I think this is where we're going to begin our discussion today. Because I heard back from folks, and I can see you, and give me a raise a hand of this. Somebody said to me after last week, they said, wow, that was really, really uncomfortable. I really didn't like that. And I'm wondering, I'm sure that person wasn't speaking just for themselves. And yeah, it's how y'all feeling about, I mean, when you think about where you are and whose land you're on, I'm assuming that I'm not the only one for whom, and that person's not the only one for whom it's uncomfortable. Yeah, it's an uncomfortable thing. And my question then leads me to, so first of all, let's take a moment and not just talk about it, but to feel about it and to think on it, and to take a moment to be uncomfortable. Let's take a moment to be uncomfortable because we are on stolen land for the most part. Most all of us are on land that was taken, and yeah, there was a treaty, but that, if you think about how those treaties were made, they weren't. It was holding a gun to someone's head and saying, "Here, would you sign this of your own free will that you're giving up your land?" It was robbery. It wasn't a free gift. So to sit on that for a moment, quite literally, I guess, to sit on it, to sit where we are, and to be a little bit uncomfortable. And that's the topic I wanted us to be with today. I wanted us to be with the topic of not being comfortable. There's a phrase that preachers often say, and we say, our job as preachers is to comfort the uncomfortable and make those who are comfortable uncomfortable. And that's the job of a minister, job of a rabbi, job of a clergy person, is to help whoever it is who is comfortable be a little bit less comfortable, and to make whoever it is who's comfortable a little less comfortable. I might have said the same thing there twice. I apologize if I did.
I've heard it.
Go ahead.
I've heard it. Comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable.
That's exactly the phrase. Thank you, Linda, for getting it. Thank you for saying it that way.
Sure.
So I'm okay with us being uncomfortable, and we should be uncomfortable. I think if we are too comfortable about being on stolen land, we're missing something really large. And not being comfortable, I had this thought this morning. Hold on one second there. I got a little bit extra noise on the line, and I hope it's not too distracting. But that kind of fits in with what I was about to say. I hope there's a little extra noise today. I'm not asking you to make extra noise, but I hope that there is a little bit extra noise today. And I hope when you look at the screen of all the people who are here, I hope you don't like everyone. Not that I don't want you to love
I don't
everyone.
like anyone.
Not that I don't want you to love everyone. But I'm hoping that someone's going to say something and you're going to be like, oh, gosh, darn it. Why doesn't that person just stuff it? Because it's only in our being uncomfortable that we get to practice what love and acceptance really are.
That's why I come here every week.
Say a little bit more, Rob, because I could interpret that in many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you make me uncomfortable.
Oh.
Right? And I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Absolutely.
Right?
I'm sure I've said things on this board that other people have detested. And, you know, I don't worry about what, you know, as far as hate or not liking other people. I just don't feel that way most times. But the uncomfort for me is being able to speak up and say, you know, there are times I'm sure that I have made other people uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We all have, wanting to or not. And the challenge is, can we figure out so Aikido, do you all know Aikido, the martial art of Aikido? The idea of Aikido is to use the other person and to get out of the way of the force of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it is that somebody says something that you find really irksome, I'm wondering if you can figure out how to get yourself out of that way.
It's a good way to put it.
I'm learning to do that, but it's not easy.
Shmuley, I don't think you're alone.
Yeah.
Everyone's learning to do that, and it's not easy. And it only gets easier the more you practice it.
Amen to that. Mm-hmm.
Right?
And you have to keep practicing.
Say that again, Rags.
Well, you don't just say, I've arrived, and I don't have to work on that anymore.
Right.
It's continual.
Yeah.
What I've learned is that truth that is real is very uncomfortable.
That truth that is real, like we're sitting on stolen land, is really uncomfortable.
Yes.
Go ahead, Rob. And then Jeff, if you had something. I can't tell if you were saying something. Your light went on, but let me start with Rob. Bob.
You mean me? I didn't do anything.
I apologize. I meant to say Bob.
Oh, yeah. I guess I am having a little bit of a problem with that because if we look at human civilization as being initiated in Africa, that where before people migrated throughout the world, that who owned the land before they got there?
You're doing it's a beautiful sidestep chicken and the egg and saying that it's all stolen land and we all took it. But in human terms, we as some predominantly white Anglo peoples took stuff that was not in the location of the white white Anglo people. I almost said white angry people.
That too.
Yeah.
Good
Good job.
Yeah.
Jeff, did you have something to say? I didn't.
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Ron.
I'll
Thank
just
you.
And then
point
Jocelyn
out.
has her hand up.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Go ahead, Ron, and then Jocelyn.
I'll just point out that when William Penn and the Quakers first came to Pennsylvania, wherever the Quakers went, they purchased the land from the native peoples. They gave them the stuff that they wanted for currency.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be stolen.
Correct. Very, very well. Very, very good. Let me go to Jocelyn, and then Shmuly's got 4 hands up. Go ahead, Jocelyn.
Oh, I actually am pulling away from the whole native argument for a moment and kind of going back to the uncomfort part.
Go ahead.
I spent a good majority of my life in an uncomfortable situation, learning to be numb. And it's ironic that I actually seek out uncomfortable situations now, because that's where I feel comfortable. I acknowledge that I'm still numb, but it was abuse. So there's trauma involved, but I also acknowledge that I do seek out uncomfortable situations.
Thank you. And Jocelyn, thank you for bringing that up. There are uncomfortable situations that are immoral, and I'm not saying we should all get comfortable if we're in a place where we're being harmed. Thank you for reminding me of that. I appreciate it. Shmuly, go ahead, my friend.
So, several things. It's true that sometimes the Anglos bought the land from the natives, but it was cheap. I mean, sometimes just giving them a mirror or alcohol, and you know, for their land, that was still stealing.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up, Shmuly.
And yes, I am living in stolen land twice from the Spaniards, and then we were given to the continental United States after the Spanish-American War. So I am living in stolen land.
Thank you. And so let me get back to the theme here, because we can go off into I want us to be more comfortable with the things that annoy us.
Mm-hmm.
And there Shantideva, who taught in India in the 8th century, he said, if you can't get comfortable with a bee sting, how are you going to get comfortable with larger problems? Like to practice with to practice.
Nice work, Jeff.
To practice with Jeff's clock. Right? Here's an idea, and I'll leave it as a homework assignment, something to do. Oh, by the way, how is everyone doing on their homeworks? Very good. If you haven't turned in your homework assignment yet, that's fine. If you have that pit in your stomach feeling because you don't know what I'm talking about, that's all right. That's part of it. Is the homework is to continue to practice being a kind and loving person. And I have arranged again with the universe this week to make sure that you get practice rounds in next week. So between now and next Saturday, there will be things that will give you plenty opportunity to practice your homework of being a kind and loving human being. Here is an idea. This is an idea, and I refer to it as a spiritual barometer.
Mm.
And a spiritual barometer goes like this. There are things that happen that sometimes when they happen, they annoy us. And sometimes when they happen, we're fine with them. For example, Jeff's clock. Jeff's clock dings every 15 minutes.
Whether you want it to or not.
Whether I want it to or not. And there are some times when I hear the clock and I think to myself, oh, that's Jeff's clock. Cool. I love Jeff. That's just his clock. That's awesome. And then there are other times. And I would ask you to contemplate, what are some of the things in your life that sometimes, like this spiritual barometer idea, sometimes they annoy you and sometimes they don't annoy you. I'll give another example is my brother-in-law, Bob. Sometimes my phone lights up and it says Bob, and it's the little graphic picture of that's associated with Bob on the screen. And sometimes the phone rings and it's Bob, and I think to myself, oh my God, it's Bob. I'm excited. What is he calling for? And I answer the phone. And then there are other times where I see the phone ring and it's Bob, and I think, oh, fuck, he locked himself out of his computer again, and he's going to need me to help him. And nothing has happened more than the phone has lit up with Bob's name on it. So I want you to think for yourself for a moment about something like Bob calling. And if you want, I can give Bob your phone number and we can see if that.
I would not be a help.
Oh, not you, Bob. Different Bob. My brother-in-law, Bob.
I was just saying if you needed some variety.
Oh, I could get a different Bob. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, similarly with emails, right? I'm sure everyone gets an email, and there are those people from whom you get that email and you think, oh, geez. And there are sometimes you get the email from the person and you're like a dog with a wagging tail. You're like, oh my God, I got an email.
Yeah.
Dopamine. Yay. Can you have everyone have I was going to make small groups, but Alex isn't here, and that makes me worried at the moment. So let's just try it this way. Does someone have an example of a spiritual barometer in their own life that they can share with us? Go. I would love to hear from someone I haven't yet heard from. Somebody who's got a spiritual barometer. I got one. Is on the screen. It's my friend Jordan. And when I play chess with him, there are days when I lose in that chess game where it hurts more than there are days when I lose, and it's most of the time it's just fun, but sometimes I get a little bit pissy.
Afia's got her hand up.
Go ahead, Afia. Thank you for telling me, Joe.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm not on camera, but actually, this is right on time because I've been messaging with a friend. It's been a long time since we've been in touch, and they've been so slow to respond. And in my eagerness to reconnect, I've been like, oh, they never message me back. Oh, they never message me back. Meanwhile, I sometimes take days to respond to people myself, not out of disrespect. And other times there are friends who do the same thing and it's like no big deal. But because I'm so excited about this, I am so annoyed and feel like, oh, this is disrespectful, or they're not into it, So yes, I'm just really grateful for the reminder that the only difference is my emotions.
It's in our head. Right. Thank you. And Derek, what do you have? Thank you, Afia.
Well, I like it sounds from you. I get kind of irritated with Jeff's
clock
ringing. Irritates the hell out of me. But at the same time, it reminds me that Jeff is a wonderful person and I love him dearly.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's exactly it. Thank you for sharing that. It's sometimes it gets to us and sometimes it doesn't. And it's for us to realize that most of this is in our head. Most of this, all of it? I don't know if I
part of our outlook at the time.
Go ahead, Jeff, say it again.
It's part of our outlook at the time. If your mood is buoyant, then it's going to be a happy clock.
Correct.
If your mood is terrible, dystopian, then the clock is going to bother you because everything's going to bother you.
And then the question I have is, and I think we know where I'm going to fall on the answer to it, is who's in charge of that mood that I'm in? Am I not at least... Do I not at least have the ability to put my finger on a lever to influence it some? And even if I'm in a bad mood, this is something Larry said in a sermon recently. He said that human beings, all creatures, all sentient creatures have feelings. That's just how we're built. We all have feelings. Now, we do have the choice. We can numb ourselves to our feelings, but that's not what he's talking about. He said human beings have feelings, but we also have the ability to have feelings about our feelings. I can find myself in a real, and sometimes I do this, and it's a sublime thing, is I can find myself in a bad mood, and I can say, oh, look, I'm in a really terrible mood. I don't have to have a bad feeling about being in a bad place. And if I do it just right, and it does take a lot of practice, and this is Jedi level, but it's worth it, is I can be in an okay place about being in a bad place.
Mhm.
Oh, am I pissed off that Jeff and his clock? I guess I'm in a bad place. Okay. You see how that game works?
Mhm.
We don't.
Recognizing it.
It's recognizing the feeling that we're in. And hey, if you think that seems like a great idea and I'd like to learn some more, 2:00 Pacific time weekdays, I have just where you are right now, you can join me at rotb.org and you can watch and we meditate together and I'm starting up again. Hold on, I'm trying to get this to, there it is. So if you go to rotb.org, hold on, there it is. Or you can follow on Facebook or on YouTube. You can watch, and we're doing meditation. And the meditation right now, I usually do a 20-minute meditation. If 20 minutes sounds like that is too long, and here's why. Why are we meditating? Because in meditating, and I'll explain the rules to meditation, and everyone can do it, and a lot of you know my philosophy on meditation. It's called JFST, and that stands for, can somebody tell us what does JFST stand for?
Just fucking sit there.
Just fucking sit there.
It's amazing. You all know, just fucking sit there. And
Yeah.
by practicing sitting, and the way that I'm doing it right now is not 20 minutes, is I've moved down to 5 minutes. Yesterday we did a 5-minute meditation, and Thursday we did a 5-minute meditation. And on Monday, we are bumping it up by 20%, and we're going to do a 6-minute meditation. And if you can learn, and I got to tell you, there's 6 minutes and there's 6 minutes. There's the 6 minutes when you're at a party and having fun, and that 6 minutes goes by fast. And then there's 6 minutes when you're waiting for an ambulance to show up.
Oh, yeah.
The 6 minute of meditation often feels much more like the ambulance one. But if you can learn to sit with and watch your thinking just in 6 minutes, you get that transferable skill into when you're annoyed at Jeff's clock and you go, God, that Jeff's clock, and you get to see that thought in your head and you go, well, that might not necessarily be true. So I ask you to join me for a 6-minute sit on Monday, and then Tuesday, and then Wednesday we might bump up to 7 minutes. I haven't decided yet. We'll go from there. Okay, let me take a breath of air, and let me take a look at all the peoples who are here. Hello, peoples who are here. So delightful to see all of you.
Yay.
Rabbi this year.
I heard a voice, and I don't know who that was, and if they wanted to say that again.
I think it was Candace.
Candace.
Yeah, it was me. It's nice to see you here, Rabbi.
Oh, thank you, Candace.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It would be the same without you, that's for sure.
Yeah, it would be a very different a different service. But there are weeks I'm not always here, so
that's true.
And I appreciate it. One of those might be coming up soon. We'll find out. I'm going to switch us over to our friend Joe, who's the collector of the names for our prayer, our time of reflection, our time of thinking. So, Joe, if you would read those names for us now.
Kim, Marilyn, Wilson, Scott, Maria, Francis, Alex, Diane, Loretta R. and her granddaughters, April, Shirley, Lauren N., Lauren L., Derek, Rita S., Rita W., Amy, Betsy, Patsy, Texas, Russia, Ukraine, Buffalo, Candace, Helen, Kim S., Elizabeth and her parents, Kathleen Eloise Eileen, Nancy E., Claudian and her grandmother, I think it's Abbas, Michael Ox, Carol Ox, Greta, Phil, Robert, Pat, Gretchen, Jen, Andy, Laurel, and Alicia's Afghan friends.
And we're going to take a minute of time, starting when the clock right above me gets to 50 seconds. Okay, my friends. I have a quote that I would like to bring for all of us to look at. And oh, I did that thing that I try not to do. I'm sorry. Maria, can you spotlight me? I think that fixes the problem.
We
I
love
have
it.
you spotlit.
Okay.
I'm going to remove it. I'll remove it.
Okay, we got you. That's good. We're getting closer.
Yeah.
And then we do a little, oh, I think I can move this over here. Hey, so here's a chance for us to be uncomfortable with something.
I'm going to try spotlighting you again.
I think I fixed it. You can.
There you go.
Yeah, I fixed mine by
Keeps us awake.
It
just by
does. So
in the corner.
here is a quote, and I will tell you that how we're going to do this quote is we're going to do the first 2 lines of it, and then we're going to do the 3rd line of it. The first 2 lines are much easier than the 3rd. And the quote is from Chuang Tzu, and Chuang Tzu said, "Oh, thanks, Jeff."
Well of mindfulness.
The quote says this: "When the shoe fits, the foot is forgotten. When the belt fits, the belly is forgotten." Right? When you don't pay attention to the way that the Lyft driver is driving unless you have a terrible Lyft driver. Right? You don't pay attention to things when they're working right. You don't pay attention to the computer and the fact that it's operating at the right. Your phone, when it's working, you don't pay attention to it. You only really notice it when it's wrong. So when the shoe fits, the foot is forgotten. When the belt fits, the belly is forgotten. And then here's the part where it gets really, this is a hard leap to make. When the heart is right, for and against are forgotten. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to bring you a different way of saying the same exact quote, just so that we can see it in different words. It says this: "You forget your feet when the shoes are comfortable. You forget your waist when the belt is comfortable. You forget right and wrong when the mind is comfortable." Now, this is a hard one for us to take in because we like to know that we are right. And I'll tell a story. I was out at Providence Park. We were having a graduation ceremony for one of the local high schools, and I was out there with my petitions for Lift Every Voice, and I'm having people sign. Would you sign to put restrictions on owning guns and on the ballot so we can all vote on this? And I'm out there collecting signatures with a bunch of people. And a gentleman walks on by and he mutters, "I'm a Marine." And I said, "Well, I would love to chat with you." And he said, "Blah, blah." And he comes over and I said, "I would love to hear your opinions." because I'm not so certain that I completely understand the issue, even though I'm standing there with a petition. And he said some things that shook me to my core. And he said, I'm paraphrasing, but you dumb pink liberals. He didn't say it exactly in those words. He said, you think that passing another law is going to stop someone? The people you're trying to stop don't give a shit about the law.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then he explained to me, he said, we had also a thing to put on the petition, on the ballot, to stop any magazine, any ammo round that is more than 10 ammos. I don't speak guns.
10 rounds.
10 rounds. And he explained that a Glock, I don't even know what a Glock is, but it's a type of gun, only
semi-automatic.
Only accepts ammunition that is in a container that's 19 rounds or more.
Mm-hmm.
Right. People shouldn't have them.
I'm not disagreeing. That people shouldn't have it. But I didn't realize that the petition I had and I was asking people to sign was having an impact in a way that I didn't understand. And many of the people, there were a lot of us out there canvassing, because obviously there's a problem with guns going on, that not everyone was able to have an open mind. I don't mean to be patting myself on the back, but when the heart is right, for and against are forgotten. That I'm be so open-minded that your brain falls out. It's that kind of thing. And here's the quote from Rumi that says the same thing in some different words. Rumi says, out beyond our ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
The quote from Voltaire that's on the opposite end of this is Voltaire said, dubium incommodo est, certum ridiculum est.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He said, doubt, and I say it in Latin because it's kind of like doing bold and underline and heading number one. Doubt is uncomfortable. Doubt is uncomfortable. We all know that. Doubt is uncomfortable, but certainty
is ridiculous.
Today, the theme of the service is getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. Is getting comfortable with not knowing. Getting comfortable with our not being in control. I'd love to hear some thoughts back from people and how this strikes you. Oh, is that too open of a question? Right? Are we just taking a moment? That's all right. Go ahead, Al. Hold on a sec. Let's go with Al.
Yeah,
first.
there's something that strikes me because I spend a lot of time thinking about this one, and sometimes I used to think that getting comfortable with being uncomfortable meant that I won't be uncomfortable anymore. And I've discovered that.
Wait. Say that again, because that was a little bit tricky, Al.
Yeah, I used to think that being comfortable with being uncomfortable meant that I wouldn't be uncomfortable anymore.
That being comfortable with being uncomfortable would mean that you wouldn't have to be uncomfortable anymore. That would seem to make sense.
Yeah, but that's kind of a false spot I've found.
Okay.
Part of the paradox of all this is that being comfortable with being uncomfortable means that you're still going to be uncomfortable sometimes. You're just going to accept it.
Right.
So can I bring it back to Larry's idea? Is you're gonna be uncomfortable. You're still gonna be uncomfortable, but you don't have to be uncomfortable about being uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah. The capital feelings can be different.
So you're gonna be uncomfortable, but you don't have to be uncomfortable about being uncomfortable. You can build up a tolerance for discomfort.
Right.
I don't have to freak out and make rash and horrible decisions because I'm uncomfortable. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're going for here.
Or feel that you shouldn't, that somehow you're wrong is being done to you, that you're being made uncomfortable. Accept it without having to cast blame out at the world for your discomfort.
So we can.
We also talk about that in terms of growth.
Go ahead, Jeff.
In growth, it's getting out of your comfort zone in order to grow. And that gets to all of the cliches. Behold the turtle. He never makes progress unless he sticks his neck out. To grow, to have all of these things that you want to happen to you, you have to stop sitting and get going. And getting going in that context is uncomfortable.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And the question is not about the turtle. The question is about you, not you, Jeff, but you, the person, you with the ears who's hearing these words right now.
Oi.
Yeah. Good. Are we willing to be a little more comfortable with being uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Not always.
So now this is going to bring me back to last week. And if you weren't here last week, I always try to make it that these weeks should be independent of each other. And we should be, but last week we had emails happening from God. Or at least I gave an exercise of asking people to write an email from God. And hey, this seems like a really good time to plug this book. If you would like to try that exercise, hey, you at home, if you would like to try this exercise, or you'd like to try some other exercises, and this is a do-it-yourself spiritual direction book. If talking to somebody like me, it's a little too much. Here it gives you a great chance to do spiritual direction on your own. Go to rotb.org. You can find out more. But the exercise, there were conscientious objectors to the exercise last week. There were people who said, I don't want to do that exercise. And that's fun. Look, obviously, of course, you don't have to. But I wonder if part of why people didn't want to do it is that they didn't want to be uncomfortable with what they might have found out. Oh boy, did I have, hold on a second. I lost my little train of thought there for a moment, and that will be okay. Why was I on that it's uncomfortable? Oh, yeah. Because hearing the voice of God, whatever the heck that means, hearing that there's something, it's what Jeff said, and Kip, you and I had talked about this some, is that if you're not willing to grow, what are you doing? And you have to be, in order to grow, and it's what Jeff, you were just saying, you have to allow yourself to be uncomfortable. And 2 weeks ago, I asked, how willing would it appear to the world that you want change? And this is the same question: is how certain are you that you know what's right? And how willing are you to be led or to see otherwise? Go ahead, Kip. I see your hands up, bud.
You're covering a lot of ground, and I just wanted to highlight a few things and kind of ask you to maybe synthesize a little bit.
I hope I'm able to.
There's a lot of really good stuff that we've talked about and that have gone by kind of fast. One is not to increase your worry by worrying about your worry.
Correct.
Not increase your pain about worrying about your pain.
Yeah.
And that's a huge point. And I think Jeffrey brought that up and it was reiterated, but that's a huge one.
Yeah.
And the other point I think you're making that's really important is to notice what you're reacting to. And if you're reacting so vehemently to a topic or a lesson, take it to a meta position and go, well, why is this bothering me so much? If I don't have something to work on here, why would that lesson bother me? And then be okay with exploring even why does this upset me when, okay, I'm maybe I don't have any beliefs whatsoever and we're having an exercise about beliefs. Great. If I'm comfortable with that, I can just let it go in most cases. Yeah. But if I've got a injury or hurt or something I don't want to look at and it comes up and I get a big response to it, that for me is I want to go and figure out why.
Yeah.
And have that meta perspective.
Thank you, Kip. That's on it. And months ago, I don't know if I remember it clearly I said, well, this is really a spiritual support group. And boy, people did not like the phrase support group. And I offered up that if the phrase is that triggering, you might want to look into like, what's so big about that? And thank you, Kip, for bringing me back to that. That's the same thing about the God exercise. If the idea of having the letters G-O-D following each other without space between them throws you off too much that I'm not going to do that exercise at all, it might be like that Shakespeare thing of I doth believe that woman
lady doth
protest too much.
That one. Why is that triggering you so much? And if the God exercise throws you off that much, and look, and I said last week, I said you're all able to go to a movie, and you're all able to suspend disbelief and believe that Leonardo DiCaprio isn't Leonardo DiCaprio, and that flat image in front of you is a real thing. That I'm asking for that level of disbelief as well. Can you just use the word God as though we're playing?
The map is not the territory.
Say that again, Aaron.
The map is not the territory.
The map is not the territory.
Lord Krasinski or something like that. But yeah.
I like that phrase. That's pretty good. Go ahead, Jack.
In really ancient Vedic literature, the word who, spelled H-U, was a predominant meaning for God. And if you look at ourselves, we're human. We're human. So we're constantly, forever connected to God.
Yeah.
Can't get away from it.
Yeah. And we can go pretty deep down into the God thing. Where my thinking is these days about God is that we've all made this terrible miscalculation in thinking that God is at all in any way out there or separate from us.
Yeah.
It's the same falseness that says that you and I are separate. And then the physicists will tell us, there's more space between molecules than there's molecules. There's no such thing as anything that's solid, and it starts to get all fuzzy. I guess my question, I would let us stick with, can we just be comfortable with not understanding all of it? And I should hope so. Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, last night I watched the Da Vinci Code for the third time. In many ways, when I was done watching it for the third time, I felt closer to God, whatever that means. Strange. strange. And the Da Vinci Code goes against all logic when you watch the movie critically. So.
Okay. Out beyond our ideas of wrongdoing and right doing. Jeff shouldn't have his clock on. Out beyond the field. Out beyond the idea of right doing and wrongdoing. Derek shouldn't have said that. Or wasn't it wonderful that Derek said that? Out beyond the idea of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Mm-hmm. When the soul lies down in that field, when the soul lies, right doing and wrongdoing is here. It's the capital feelings. But when we get to that field, beyond right doing and wrongdoing, we can just be. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's not a comfortable linear algebra kind of place, but it's a most beautiful place.
Mm. You're opening a heart.
Yes. Amen. Let me take a moment. I'm going to take a moment to thank all of you for being here, to thank those who are watching. I got people who are on, people who are throwing some comments up on Facebook and on Good Morning to Shirley, and our friend Marilyn is there. If you want extra noise today, go to the Grand Floral Parade. Oh, we just had the Junior Rose Festival here in Portland, which is really fun. And it's just the worst music ever because it's middle school marching bands. And we play a game, my friends and I, we play a game which is Name That Tune. And you get, I think you only need about 20% of kids hitting the wrong notes to make it completely unintelligible. But it gives a great, the Rose Festival reminds me every year of a phrase that Larry taught me, because I called him from the festival one year. And Larry said that if you're looking for good quotes, this is one. Larry said, "There are times you must love children more than you love music."
Yeah.
There are times you must love children more than you love music. And that is applicable outside of children and music.
Music teacher?
You have to love people more than you love what they do. You have to love children more than you love music, and you have to love people more than you love what they do.
Love for love's sake.
Yeah, amen. Okay. There's some other follow-ups I wanted to make. Oh, I was thanking you guys also, and thank everyone. I want to thank everyone who makes contributions to Religion Outside the Box. That's how this and the newsletter happen, is because it's supported. It's this crazy idea that I've had, and the way my crazy idea happens is that you guys all help. And I thank you for making it so that I can be the rabbi who runs this service. And so thank you for doing that. If you would like to make a donation, you're not already there, rotb.org, or at the bottom of the newsletter, there's always a link. So thank you for doing that. I want to follow up on two things, and I'm trying to figure out two things that came out from the email from God that I wanted to share with everyone. One, it is okay to be mad at God. Not everyone knows that. It is okay to rail against, and we're using the word God any way that makes sense to you. But if you feel in your heart you have been wronged, and then somebody told you you're not allowed to get mad at God, I'm going to tell you they're wrong. It is okay to tell God to go fuck him or her or itself. It is totally permissible. And I know that I wrote God a Dear John letter once, telling God to go fuck themselves because I was pissed. And
bring it up.
In retrospect, in my understanding of it, and I'm going to anthropomorphize in a way that doesn't make. And how do I write letter to God if God is within me? I get all the problems that it's fraught with, but it's just metaphor. And I wrote God a Dear John letter, and in my head afterwards, I heard God say, well, at least you're acknowledging me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To tell God to go fuck God's self, at least we're engaged in a conversation about what's gone on. So that was one follow-up to it. The other follow-up that came from the emails to God that people shared with me was, it's okay also to forgive God.
Mm-hmm.
Again, anthropomorphizing, putting God outside of ourselves, that's all fine. But it's okay to say to God, you fucked up, and I forgive
Yes.
you.
He does sometimes.
And what a powerful thing it can be to forgive God for God's trespasses against us. I'm not saying one has to do that. I'm not saying you have to forgive God for the terrible things that happen in your life. But should you find yourself in a place where forgiving God would make some sense, to please do that. Also, some follow-ups. The newsletter that happened on Monday was all about shame. And I had some follow-ups from that. If you're in the clubhouse, you would have seen I made 2 extra points in the clubhouse about, so that's at mn.rotb.org, and we have some new people spotlit in the clubhouse, which is mn.rotb.org, and 2 other things that happened about shame. One, shame is really sticky.
Mm-hmm.
It's really sticky. I wish it weren't, but it's really sticky. And 2, shame has a half-life like carbon, as opposed to awe and joy, which have half-lives like hummingbirds. So those 2 things. And then so there was a comment in the clubhouse about shame, and I wanted to highlight 2 of them. One, it's no shame to not have all your shit together. I'm going to say that again. There's no shame in not having all your shit together all the time.
Is anyone?
Yes, just
nobody has all their shit together all the time, but people think they should.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in not having all your shit together all the time. Can I get an amen on that one?
Amen. Amen.
It's okay to not have all your shit together all the time. And the other thing that came out, and it's on the clubhouse, and people sent me emails. Oh my God, did people send me the most beautiful emails of things that they were ashamed about? And I wrote in the newsletter, I said, the things that you're ashamed about, I'm pretty certain I will love you anyhow, even if you tell me that thing. And some people told me that thing. And I knew ahead of time, and I wrote about it, and it was true, that when you tell someone the thing that causes you shame, it elicited in me more love for the person who shared that thing with me. And we saw that happening in the clubhouse, where people shared some personal things. And the response back was, that makes me love you even more. Shame is like, it's like mist in, when you confront it with love, the shame can often just dissipate. It will come back later with revenge, like that will happen at times, but it will it can just go. Go ahead, Kip. I see your hand up. I know, and I'm thinking like, oh shit, Kip's got his hand up, and there I am, and I just added 6 more topics in today. But bring it on, buddy.
Well, Rabbi, there's a great sub-conversation in the chat that I wanted to bring up, and that's several people have expressed, well, what do you do when your very existence causes other people to be uncomfortable, whether it's your gender, your expression, your disabilities? And I think it really wraps up a lot of what you're talking about. I mean, first, you said as a minister, your role is to make people uncomfortable that are comfortable. And I wonder if you'd like to speak to some of that in regards to, you know, people's gender identity and disabilities making other people uncomfortable, and how that relates to shame.
That somebody's gender identity makes someone else uncomfortable is their fucking problem. Not the first person.
Not for the gender person.
Right? If my being causes you discomfort, whose problem is that? It's not mine. Try walk. I have a minor example as being Jewish in a predominantly Christian culture. I can make people uncomfortable because I haven't said the same words that they have said, but that ain't my problem. That's not my problem. I'm sorry that it makes you feel uncomfortable that your theology requires me to believe the same things you believe. That's not make sense. Your gender identity makes me uncomfortable. That's my problem. I think we already knew I was going to, am I missing? Is there more to be said? There was another part, Kip?
Well, I think that's a gift. Those people are giving, or you're giving them a gift by giving them that barometer, whether they want it or not, to check in with themselves. Why is that making me uncomfortable?
Yeah. And
and not be shamed by that, to really own that you're representing your true self, whether it's disabled, your opinions. And if somebody's getting a reaction just because you're being you, you're giving them a gift to explore themselves. Amen. And to try to root out that weirdness.
There's a fantastic gentleman, I almost said gentleman, and that would be a Shonda. That would be a shame at this point. There's this fantastic person by the name of Alak. And Alak Vade Menon, and I'm going to put a link right up here. And I want you to take a look at Alak's work. And it's all uncapitalized because that was the last time I looked it up on YouTube. And Alak is gender non-conforming, gender non-binary, gender fluid, gender fan-fucking-tastic. And, you know, Alak talks about how my facial hair is just more of my beauty coming out and wearing a beautiful dress. And Alak talks about if you are uncomfortable because you think that your shut down dissociation is a personality, my love of life and joy coming out of me is not my problem. That's your problem. I'm not causing you a problem to be uncomfortable. Boy, am I not saying this right. I will find that video, the short little video clip or audio, and I hope to bring that next week. But please, 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 and thank you for bringing it up, Kip. Please know that if you're making someone uncomfortable expressing your authentic self, that's not on you. That's on them. And that's for them to figure out and for them to become more comfortable, not for you. Thank you, Kip. I got a little sermon-y there for a moment, but I feel like gross mishandling of people's identity requires a firm response. And the firm response is it's their fucking problem, not yours. Be yourself. Okay.
Amen.
I'll get a whole amen from the whole crowd on that one.
Amen.
Amen. Well, we did talk about a lot of things today, and I thank all of you. I'm going to be signing off of the video in a moment. If I do it right, hold on one second. I'm going to do gallery view. There's everyone. Hey, we didn't screw up the technology too badly. Wave to all the people who are watching on Facebook or on YouTube, and thank everyone. I'm going to finish the recording. End the broadcast now.